Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and once again, it's a late night here in the Texas Gun Vault garage, and I just got home from the range. It is approximately 11:45 at night. You guys know I like to go to the range late at night because I got 24-hour biometric access, and I can shoot my range reports and get the footage without being bothered and not having to deal with other people on the range, so I can get different vantage points, not worry about the camera setup, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I took one gun to the range today, and probably as you can see from the title of this video, it's a really cool one and a very expensive one. I had the opportunity to shoot the Hk MR27. Now this was one of 500 that were made with the complete deployment kit, as it is issued by the U.S. Marine Corps. This is on loan to the channel from my friend D. And I made sure to message him and go, hey, I know you lent this to the channel. I did a From the Vault video on it where I show the whole deployment kit. But I said, am I allowed to shoot this? Because this is a rifle and a package that is in some places over 5 figures, okay? It's a very expensive firearm and setup. And he said yes. So I took it to the range and fired the first shots through this thing. And I discovered so much about this gun. Some things good, some things bad. And I wanted to give you guys my initial impressions because I have a feeling this is going to be a very long range report. And some things I did not know, and maybe some of you guys already knew, okay? Now understand that when it comes to firearms, nobody can know everything. And one issue with this, one major issue, as I said, some people are going to say, didn't you go and read the owner's manual? Which I did peruse it, okay? But it's the same owner's manual that I have for my MR556. And I don't really see the issue addressed in the owner's manual that I was looking for, okay? So, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Well, let's talk about the positives and the negatives, okay? First off, this is a very heavy rifle as it sits on the workbench with the Optic and the Bipod. And I think that's one of the biggest detriments to this gun. I know this is supposed to be a infantry rifle, but it's also supposed to be a replacement for some of the light machine guns that the Marine Corps uses. Now, obviously, this is a semi-automatic only gun, but because it is designed to be a light machine gun as well in its full auto configuration, the barrel profile is very heavy. Now, it's the same barrel profile that you will get on an MR556A1, but this barrel is chrome lined and uses traditional lands and grooves, where the MR556A1 uses polygonal rifling. So this barrel is much closer to the HK416. And of course, people are going to love that, and collectors are going to love that. But the rest of the gun, the rest of the rifle, honestly, feels like an MR556. I really kind of feel like you can clone this rifle out pretty good, with the exception of some of the markings, and be pretty happy with it. Because most of this other stuff you can buy as independent things, independent accessories, and put it on your MR556. You just got to make sure you got the quad rail handguard. So let's talk about the good and bad, okay? Good, the gun is very shootable, in that it has very light recoil. It has absolutely no gas back in the face because it's a short stroke piston system, very soft shooting, and it has absolutely no problems with heat. I shot a lot of rounds through this, and all the heat stays at the front of the gun where the gas block is, the piston system, and the end of the barrel. So I really feel like those are the best things about this gun. And it is pretty accurate, okay? It's actually not as accurate as I thought it was going to be. I've shot many AR-15 style rifles way better than this. Now, I only reviewed it so far at the 25-yard range, but I am going back to the 100-yard range tomorrow, because that's range is only open when the range is fully open for a business, but I can get into like the 25-yard ranges anytime I want. So I wanted to test this, and I also wanted to test this with all of the different accessories and talk about them because that's part of the whole deployment kit package. So I wanted to share with you what I discovered, okay? The vertical foregrip. Now this is an HK vertical foregrip, and it has a Mantis cover on it. So we have the Mantis rail covers right here, and they've put one on this grip. Now the rail covers are perfectly fine. The one on the vertical foregrip I don't like. It has this flat surface in the front. I would just rather have just the grip itself. So I just didn't like that, but that's going to be more of a personal preference thing. Now let's talk about the bipod. The bipod, I think, has two issues, okay? Now, I believe a weapon system or platform that is designed for especially the military, and more specifically the Marines, needs to be idiot-proof. Now, I'm not saying Marines are dumb, okay? I know the reputation that they have. I know the joke that says, you know, if you put 2 Marines in a room with a ball bearing and come back in an hour, the ball bearing will be broken, okay? I get that, okay? But I really feel like because you're going to put these weapon systems in the hands of people that are not gun nerds like you or I, and this is supposed to be an infantry weapon, it needs to be simplistic, plug and play, and you can't go wrong. You can't break it. The bipod has 2 issues. As it is set up, now I reviewed this as it comes out of the box, and some people are going to say, well, you can take this off, you can change that. I know, okay? But it's set up a specific way. First issue, the adjustment in the back here, this little knob, which loosens up the tilt of the bipod, rubs up against the Mantis rail cover. And as you can see, it's in that cover a little bit. Now, the rail cover does have kind of a concave surface in here. I guess that's designed for it, but this knob does rub on it, okay? So it does make it a little bit hard to manipulate. The other issue is when you are taking this off and on, if the bipod legs are up and it's rotated just a little bit, more specifically if it's rotated to the right side of the gun, this spring right here is going to rub up on the lever of the LaRue tactical mount. Now, I do not have this issue with either the Knight's Armament mount for a Harris bipod or the Arms Inc. one for my Mark 12. I have a Mark 12 Mod 0, or a Mod O, and a Mod 1. Those bipods are easy to get on and off the rifle. However, with this one, especially if the legs are collapsed and it's rotated just a little bit and you're not aware of this issue, this is impossible to get on and off. And all you have to do is rotate it just a little bit and it will work fine. But when I was putting this back on, because when I shot it at the range, I first off took off the bipod because this thing is so freaking heavy. And as I've already told you, when it comes to carrying gear in the field, soldiers say ounces become pounds. You got to carry, you know, your ammo, your other gear, you know, what all that stuff. And if you have a weapon system that's extremely heavy, it's a pain in the butt. So you want something that's super duper light. So at the range, I wanted to review it without the bipod first because I was just going to shoot it standing at sub 25 yards. I didn't need the bipod on it. And then when I put it back on, it had rotated just a little bit. I was like, why in the world is this thing not going on? And then I realized, oh yeah, this spring is in the way. So that's kind of annoying. Then this LaRue tactical bipod mount, it doesn't have a, I don't even know what it's called. Like on the Arms Inc. mount, there's this little plate that moves when you put the latch tight. It rubs up against the rail, but it moves in such a way that it doesn't mar the rail. This mount mars the rail. Like you can actually see a little indentation or divot where the mount goes on and off. And as you put it onto the rail and tighten that down and use that quick detach lever, it digs into that rail. And I could see where over time that could be an issue as well, especially if it bends or damages the rail. And of course, these that are used in the field are going to get lots of use, and they're going to get abused. So that might be an issue in the future. Okay, so that's the problem with the bipod. Let's talk about the Optic. Okay, so this is one of the reasons this package is so expensive. It's all Trijicon. So we have a Trijicon, well, it's not really a red dot, it's more of like an orange dot. And I got to look up exactly what model this is because there are no controls on this whatsoever. You cannot adjust it at all. It's just on, and it's orange. I know it's kind of weird, and the dot's kind of big. So my range has kind of low light situations, especially where you stand as a shooter, and that dot was a little bit hard to see. So I shot this at 10 yards with the dot, and then at 20 yards with the magnified optic. And I don't like the dot, it's mounted too high, but that's just, you know, an issue with Trijicon in general. I understand it's backup. The magnified optic, I like the reticle, and it has great eye relief. It's very forgiving with the eye relief. And many of these ACOGs from Trijicon, especially the ones that are 4-power, they're not. They have to be mounted in such a way for you to be able to see through it clearly. This one, very, very forgiving. But it's not, in my opinion, there's better ACOGs out there. I don't like this one as much. I don't know what the magnification is on it. I think it's 3.5. I'd have to double check. I wonder if it says it here on the side. I don't know. I think it's 3.5. There's the cage code. I don't know. It's pretty much the same size as the 3.5 magnification one that I have. These adjustments on the side, these caps, are actually a little bit hard to get on and off. They're a little bit bigger than the ones I have, and the little cables which prevent you from losing them actually make it harder to get on and off. I don't know why I struggled with that. I just did. So I know some people were saying this was not the greatest ACOG ever, not the best optic. It was okay. And it has a LaRue tactical mount, and the levers, only one of them has the lock on it. I kind of feel like both of them should have the lock on it. I think when it comes to the accessories, that was kind of the things I discovered. But now let's talk about what I think is a big fatal flaw in this. Now, this is the thing that some of you guys are probably going to say, Jason, I can't believe you didn't know that. Well, I didn't know this, and maybe it's only with this gun or it's with all of the MR series of rifles from HK. So the magazine that comes in the deployment kit is this one here. It's a Gen 3 PMag with the window, and that doesn't affect function. So I knew I needed to take another mag to the range, so I had one out here in the garage because I recently filmed a product review on that magnifier. And this is the PMag that I had in the rifle that I just had out here that I needed to clean, and it's a Gen 2, okay? I never have problems with Gen 2 PMags, and never had problems with Gen 3 PMags. You might know where I'm going with this. So tell me in the comment section below, before I get to this point, if you know where I'm going with this. So I get to the quick magazine change test. And so I load this, goes in absolutely fine. Close the bolt, no issues. The gun goes bang, 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 bang. I drop it. The bolt's locked open. Okay, in fact, I will open this right now. This is awkward. All right, so the bolt's open. I grab this one. I insert it, and guess what? It doesn't lock in because the dimensions, I think, of this is a little bit different. Now, I really can't see it, but I think it's this lip right here. I think that's where the issue is. This one's a little bit longer, and I had no idea that Gen 2 PMags do not work in this, and it took me a minute to figure that out. And actually, the size of this is a little bit bigger, and it sticks in the gun. So, like, as you can see, even though it's not locked in, it doesn't fall out. I actually have to strip that out. So I was trying to make this fit. I'm like, okay, well, it's not falling out. I would, I tapped it, like this. And it's stuck in there. So, you know, as everyone says, tap, rack, bang, right? So boom, it's in there. So I would pull the charging handle back. The first round would load. The gun would go bang. And then one of two things would happen. The first thing that would happen is it doesn't pick up the next round. And that's because the magazine isn't fully locked in there. Or if it does try to pick up the round, it gets caught underneath the bolt. And the bolt tries to close, but because it doesn't pick it up, it does that. Yeah. Look at that divot in that case. And before I figured out that magazine wasn't locking in completely, I tried this a couple of times thinking, what in the world is going on here? And yeah, so that is a big issue with this gun. You could not use Gen 2 mags with this, which I'm just surprised about. So maybe you guys knew that. I didn't know that. And just a little glance here at the magazine, at the owner's manual, it doesn't talk about this in here as I can tell. I've gone to the magazines. It shows how to load magazines. I don't see a warning on this. In fact, the magazine that they show in the owner's manual is the HK metal ones. It shows how to disassemble them. I don't see anything in here that says, hey, this does not work with certain magazines. And that's it. That's all they have on the magazines. And it doesn't say it. So if you try to run this thing with Gen 2 PMags, it's a no-go. Doesn't lock in, but it does stick. And if it does pick up the first round, the second round, it's going to do that. Yeah. Now, when I go back to the 100-yard range tomorrow, I'm going to take more standard mags, more like, you know, the aluminum GI mags. And I will probably take one of the HK steel magazines as well. I'm going to assume those are going to run. But that was the flaw that I had with this. So far, some things about this are good. And some things are, I don't know, I shouldn't say leaving a bad taste in my mouth. I just kind of feel like for a rifle that is close to five figures, I shouldn't have this issue. And as I mentioned, I'm trying to review this from many different perspectives. I review it with everything on it. I took off the bipod for some of it. And for the mag dump test, I took off the optic and the bipod to make it as light as possible. And actually, without those two things, it's pretty manageable. But anyway, that's my first impressions with this thing so far. And I can see where if you are not as knowledgeable as other people, not a gun geek like, you know, you or I are, you might think you have a really defective rifle. From the bipod to not being able to run what I think most people have in their magazine collections are the Gen 2 PMags. I had no idea. So I have heard of these not running well in some European guns. This is an American-made gun, but I guess technically it's a European design. So this magwell might be a little bit different up here. Why would they change that? No idea. But maybe some of you guys can tell me in the comment section below if you already knew this particular gun had that issue. And what do you think about my complaints about the LaRue mounts and how they mar the rail? And also the problem with the springs on the side of the Harris bipod and how they get in the way of the quick detach rail. I don't have that issue on my Mark 12s. And because this, once again, is designed for the military and people that are in the field, I could potentially see this being an issue. It's cool because of what it is. It's collectible because of what it is. But I didn't think I'd have the issues that I've had with it so far. Accuracy is okay. Not the best AR style rifle I've ever shot, but pretty good. The weight bogs you down. You get a little bit tired shooting it. And I know some people are going to say, go work out, go run, go exercise. ounces become pounds, and when you're shooting a bunch of stuff at the range through it, it weighs on you after a while. But at the 100-yard range, hopefully I'll be able to get some good accuracy with it, but we'll just have to see. So what do you guys think? My initial thoughts and impressions on the Hk MR27. What do you guys think about these, things I discovered? Are they big deals to you? Did you already know about them? But that's just part of the game of being a gun reviewer. You can't know everything about every gun until you shoot it. So there you go. So what do you guys think? And if you made it to the end of this video, let's make the word of the day problems, because I had some problems with this. Now, when I use this magazine, no issues, gun ran great. It just ejects forward to the 1 or the 2 o'clock position. I didn't even have to sweep my brass at the range because all the brass goes forward. And I was using this Winchester 223 stuff, and I was using 5.56 green tip, and had the same issue. So there you go. I'll let you know what happens at the longer distance range when I get it back from there. And this is probably going to be one of the longest range reports I ever put together. But it's definitely a cool gun. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Oh, there is one more thing. I know I've been babbling on for 21 minutes. I wanted to share some kind of behind the scenes stuff with you about the Texas Gun Vault, because I actually got a little bit nervous and a little bit scared yesterday. Now, as you guys watch videos on my main channel, you guys have probably noticed that I have a formula, okay? It's a script that I do. I do my reviews in a very particular order, and I talk about certain things. It's almost programmatic, okay? And one of the reasons I do that is for consistency. You know what to expect. But also, YouTube seems to like it, okay? So I've been uploading videos, ever since I had to restart the main channel. And I have not had any issues with monetization. Like, every video I make immediately is approved for monetization based off of the YouTube algorithm AI stuff. And yesterday I uploaded a video on a B&T SPC9 SD, and it got limited monetization on it. And I was like, oh no, is this the canary in the coal mine where after like a year of uploading, now we have an issue? Because we all know what recently happened with Hk 45. And I was thinking to myself, oh gosh, it's the sponsor and that video. Did I shoot more than 30 rounds through a magazine? I have no idea, because I followed the same thing. And I wasn't going to panic or say anything and, blow the warning bell before I knew more. And so I appealed it. And within 24 hours, the appeal was approved and the video was completely monetized. So after manual review, they said it's good to go. So I wanted to report to you guys that if there's any other channels that are having problems with things like sponsorships, I'm not having that. And I actually was worried that maybe they had changed it, or somebody that didn't know what they were doing would look at my sponsorship through Brownworks and be like, oh, it's not. Everything's fine. I don't know what in that video caused that. And so I was all nervous again, like, oh gosh, something's going on behind the scenes. But it got approved. So I wanted to share that with you, because I like to tell you guys everything that goes on, like, behind the scenes. So anyway, it's getting late. It's after midnight here. It's like 12, 13 or so. And I need to put this up, get it ready for the range tomorrow. I need to go dig out some Gen 3 PMags and my HK mags and so forth to make sure those run in this thing. So now, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And once again, the word of the day is problem. So as always, thanks for joining me in the garage. And thanks for watching.